Hello. I'm Cat. Okay. Apparently he doesn't like cats. I was never a cat person. Growing up, the only pets we had in the house were dogs, except for those couple times we had hamsters, but we don't really talk about those. But other than that, all we had was one dog at a time. We had a dog named Buster, who I don't remember at all because I was too young, a dog named Duke, who I somewhat remember but was still pretty young, and a dog named Reggie, who for the most part is a dog that I grew up with. My sister and I named her after Reggie from Rocket Power, if anybody remembers that show, and she was the best dog that anybody could ask for. She passed away a couple years ago, and we haven't had any other pets since. As you can see though, no cats. It doesn't help that my mom, my sister, and myself all become snot monsters around cats, and our itchy eyes feel like death, and we start sucking down allergy medicine like it's candy because we are all allergic to cats. However, my sister, who I never in a million years thought could become a cat person, did when she moved in with a roommate who had a cat, and she loved that cat, stuffy nose and all. I met that cat, and I gotta admit, she was pretty cute, but that's not what changed me into a cat person. A while back, we had a cat coming to visit us from the neighborhood that we were pretty sure had a family, and she was just an outdoor cat, but shit was she cute. She doesn't come around anymore, but I loved that adorable little fur ball, stuffy nose and all. She definitely changed me from just a dog person to a dog and cat person. So when I saw the first trailer for Stray, I knew I had to play it. Stray is a game developed by Blue 12 Studio and published by Annapurna Interactive. It's probably one of the most unique games that I have seen in a long time, as you take the role of a cat roaming around a dystopian world. Along the way, the cat meets a small drone, and the pair explore the robot-filled streets as they try and figure out what happened to the humans that used to inhabit this place and what led it into a dystopia. I absolutely fell in love with this game while playing it, and today, I'm going to lay out all the reasons why Stray is a winner. Hi, real quick. I know I'm supposed to throw a bunch of YouTube analytics at you, but I'll just be honest. If you're enjoying the video, then consider subscribing. It would mean a lot to me and would help appease our YouTube overlords. Oh, and while you're down there, you could also hit the like button, but I'll leave that one up to you. All right, back to the video. If there is one thing that Blue 12 Studio needed to nail, it's the cat. I can happily say that they hit it out of the park. The game really makes you feel like a cat. I can't believe I just said that unironically, but I will at least explain why. Where better to start off than the look of the cat itself? This truly is the most adorable protagonist in any game ever, and you can't change my mind. It helps that the real-life inspiration of Stray's cat, Murtaugh, the cat belonging to the co-founders of Blue 12 and a rescued Stray himself, is just as adorable. The animations for this cat are also so unbelievably lifelike at times that I wouldn't even be surprised if they got a real cat to mocap this shit. The nimbleness and grace of every single leap truly looks exactly like how it would with a real-life cat. If I slow down the footage, you can see all the stages of the cat jumping, which are exactly like a real-life cat. From compression of the body before the leap, to the extension during the leap, and the perfect landing every time. While these animations didn't actually come from a mocapped cat, Blue 12 did take inspiration from watching a Sphinx named Oscar who came into their studio every day and who helped the animators of the game refine every subtlety of a cat's movement. It's not just the animations and design that make this a perfect cat game though, it's what they let you do as the cat as well. Essentially, they let you be a cat, swatting around a ball on a pool table, pushing paint cans off of things, scratching carpets and couches and trees. This is the most adorable thing ever. I mean, don't put that in the video. Taking a quick nap, putting your head in a bag out of curiosity, or brushing up on robots. I mean, they even have a dedicated button just to let you meow. Granted, this feature does actually have a use later in the game, but it still adds to the overall experience of just being a cat. I feel like some of these features could have been easily overlooked by a different studio because they don't add much to the overall gameplay. However, Blue 12 knew that the main priority with this game was to sell the fact that you are a cat, and they put so much effort and dedication into that. With the perfectly designed cat out of the way, the next thing Blue 12 had to nail was the world for the cat to roam around in. This is a dystopia, right? So why does it look so damn good? Obviously the graphics are incredible, but it's not just the graphics, it's the design as well. It's incredible how they designed this world so that you can still find beauty in the rundown. While doing research, I found that the inspiration for the city was from the Kowloon walled city, which was one of the most densely packed parts of Hong Kong in the later 1900s. The walled city was demolished between 1993 and 1994, but in 1990, the walled city contained 50,000 residents packed together. The developers found the city very interesting from an artist standpoint because of the way it was organically constructed, and eventually saw it as the perfect playground for a cat because of all the densely packed buildings and infrastructure. You can very easily see this inspiration while playing the game, as all of the buildings that you will be traversing along are tightly packed together with not much room to breathe. It is probably the single most perfect design with a cat in mind. What makes this city even more interesting though is the fact that you get to look at it through the eyes of a cat. They bring the camera angle down lower than where it would normally be for a human, and it gives a great sense that things even as simple as a desk are so much larger than you are. What this leads to though is you looking at the world differently. Instead of just seeing a normal railing, you now see a way to jump up higher, or a normal vent on the side of a building is now a new route for the cat. It's very much the same feeling that I get whenever I play Mirror's Edge. One of the best parts about the world though is just the general atmosphere while roaming around. There are certain sections in the game where it turns more open world, or I guess open area would probably be a better description. These areas are small parts of the city that the cat gets to roam around and explore. In these small parts, the cat can go around and talk to all the robots in the area and learn more about them. Until I took a screwdriver in the knee. Is that a Skyrim reference? I used to be a cat like you. I think the moment that really sold me on the atmosphere though was when I found a page of sheet music and brought it to a robot with a guitar. He started playing the song and I had the cat lay down next to him, and it just became this perfect moment. Everything just came together in this moment of peacefulness and tranquility, listening to the cat sleep, and the fantastic music in this rundown and dirty city, and I just fell in love with the atmosphere. This is finding the beauty in the rundown that I was talking about earlier. But does the gameplay add to the already incredible atmosphere of this game? Is this game a walking simulator? No. I've seen some people say it, and I feel like that term is really reductive for this game. Not that there's anything wrong with walking simulators, because there are some really great ones out there, but I'm not sure this game is one of them. So what type of game is this then? Is it a platformer? Well, no, not in the traditional sense anyway. Is it a puzzle game? There are puzzle elements, but I wouldn't exactly label it as a puzzle game. Is it a stealth game? Again, stealth elements, but not exactly a stealth game. Is it a third-person shooter? Oh no, that was a bad idea! Alright. That was a bad idea. Yeah, that one may have been a bit of a stretch. I guess the easiest way to describe this game is just to call it an adventure game. Actually, no. I'm going to put this game in a new genre called the cute cat genre. Currently, this game is the only one that takes up that genre, but I'm sure more will come after the success of this game. So what's the actual gameplay like? Well, like I said, there's platforming, puzzles, stealth, and third-person shooting-ish. Let's start with the platforming, seeing as that's what you do the most. I've seen the complaints that the platforming is bad because the game uses something called a guided movement system, which basically means that you have no risk during the platforming because every jump is done for you. Apparently, the developers did this because during testing, players were consistently missing jumps and it didn't feel very cat-like to be missing jumps. I honestly think that makes total sense, and it does add even more to the cat experience. I also think because this is a super chill game and pretty slow paced, I didn't really need super skill-based platforming, and it allowed me to pay more attention to the beautiful world than worrying about missing a jump. The puzzles were probably my favorite part of the gameplay. They were pretty easy puzzles, and I don't think I ever got stuck on any of them, but they gave a nice mix-up from the platforming. They had some really cool puzzles though in the more open world sections that took you through like a line of things that you had to do to get to your goal. For example, at one point you had to get this item fixed. You find a robot that can fix it, but he won't because he's cold. You find a robot that can make a poncho for the cold, but they need electrical cables for it. You find a salesman robot that has the cables, but will only take a full bottle of laundry detergent for it. You find the local laundromat, but it's closed. You open it up by making this robot on the roof drop a paint can on the street, making the owner of the laundromat mad and come outside to clean it up so you can get the detergent. And that's the line. It reminded me a lot of the early Resident Evil puzzles or like a Metroidvania style puzzle, and I loved it. Because this game is such a chill and slow paced game, the combat itself actually added a lot of tension and high stakes. I think the fact that you are a cat as well also adds to the combat itself because it feels more threatening as this small creature, and I loved that. The meow button being used as a stealth feature to distract the enemies was a fantastic idea as well. I think for the most part, I loved every aspect of the gameplay that I got to do throughout the story of the game. Quick story recap. The cat awakens on top of a wall with its pack of cat friends. After exploring, the cat jumps on a pipe that breaks and falls to the bottom on the inside of the wall in the saddest cutscene in gaming history. The cat finds a city covered in darkness on the inside and starts getting directed through it by lights flickering on. The lights lead the cat to a hidden workstation with an AI on it asking the cat to find it a body to upload to. The cat finds a small B-12 companion drone next to a dead robot lying on a tank of some kind. The AI uploads itself to B-12 and tells the cat that it was stuck in the network for years and can't remember much. The one thing B-12 does remember is that he used to help a scientist trying to get everybody out of the city and promises the cat that he will now do the same for it. As the pair venture farther into the city, they find it devoid of any humans and instead is now inhabited by sentient robots known as companions that used to serve the humans. A group of those robots, known as the Outsiders, have been working to try and get out of the city, and they assist B-12 and the cat to get to that goal. B-12 and the cat start in the slums with the low-class robots, and with the help of the Outsiders, work their way up to Midtown with the middle-class robots. They eventually make it to the main control room of the city where the humans with wealth used to live. Along the way, B-12 starts to recover his memories and realize that he was the scientist that was in the tank and tried to upload himself to the robot before he died, but it went wrong and he got stuck in the network. He also remembers that the humans were forced to move into the walled city when an unknown catastrophe happened on the surface. It was short-lived, however, when a plague broke out in the walled city, wiping out all of the humans and leaving only the companion robots. B-12 and the cat start opening up the city from the control room when B-12 reveals to the cat that the process will destroy him, the last remaining human. B-12 tells the cat that he is alright with this as he now realizes that the work that humanity started will continue on with the companions as they have inherited the traits of humanity, both good and bad. The walled city is opened, shining light into the darkest crevices of the city and freeing both the cat and the companions to figure out what tomorrow will look like. I was completely enthralled with the story the entire time. Sure, it has some things that you can see coming from a mile away, like B12 being destroyed, but I think overall, the story is a pretty big subversion on classic tropes. I mean, when you hear a story about humanity having disappeared and the only things left in their place are sentient robots, the first thing I think of at least is that the robots took over and wiped out all of humanity, just like those robots that Boston Dynamics are going to do in a couple years. In Stray's story, however, the companions not only deeply missed the humans, or soft ones as they call them, but as they grew sentient, they started to take on the traits of humanity. In any robot film ever, the robots take over and say that humanity needs to be wiped out to create the perfect world. But in Stray's story, the companions aren't perfect because they were created and taught in an imperfect world. So when the humans did all die from the plague, the companions didn't get rid of the class system that gives the robots in the slums a worse life, or fix the police state of Midtown. Their lives just went on, much like ours would. I think there's something really interesting in that idea, and it's why the story had me invested much more than I thought it would. Honestly, not really a lot of sins to mention for Stray. There's mainly just 3 things that I want to point out. The music was pretty great throughout the whole game, as you can probably hear from the background of the video, but there were some moments where the music would cut in at very weird times. There was one moment in particular that I remember where B12 was talking about the humans, and it was a sad moment, and then some really funky music cut in at the same time. That was a weird time to start playing that music. This isn't the only time something like this happened, but it was probably the most noticeable time that it happened to me. On the performance side of things, I had 2 noticeable frame dips on the PS5, but that was it. I have seen more significant reports on the PC side of things though, for stuttering when loading new areas, but it doesn't seem very massive and the developers have said they are working on it. Oh, and the last thing, the occasional bug or 2 did happen to me. What the fuck? I don't think that's how that was supposed to work. Stray is a game unlike any other. I'll be completely honest, if Elden Ring didn't come out this year, then this game had the potential to become my game of the year. From its beautifully designed world that your perfectly adapted and animated feline friend can jump all over, to the interesting ways it uses a cat for gameplay and the thrilling narrative to tie it all together. Stray is a game that can be enjoyed by many, and it's very easy to see why. While playing, it felt like it was going to be a one and done game, but there was a little tease at the end that B12 might still be alive in the system, so I'm not sure if we're going to see more of our adorable protagonist, but needless to say, I will be checking out anything that Blue 12 does in the future. This game ticked all the boxes for the perfect cat simulator, and it is why Stray is a winner.